Hello everybody. Today is February the 7th, 2009, and today we're just going to examine the solutions to the problems men face regarding feminism. But first I want to embark on a brief history lesson. History has a funny way of repeating itself, and I just want to revisit Mao Zedong's Communist China briefly to see what happened and why it's relevant to the Western man today. Mao was one of the most evil, murderous, and dangerous men to ever live. His Cultural Revolution and Great Leap Forward were directly responsible for the socially engineered famines that caused the deaths of over 60 million of his own countrymen. One could argue that this man could be the most prolific mass murderer in the history of mankind. Yet till this day, Mao is still revered throughout China, and his mausoleum still attracts hordes of people from China and across the world. His face even still adorns the Chinese currency in use today. Why is that, you ask? Why can such an evil man be looked upon as the greatest leader China had ever witnessed, and not the megalomaniac that he really was? Well, that's simple. Mao understood the relationship between propaganda, the legal system, and the economic system. He also understood how this relationship affects the interactions between men and women. Now, Mao knew that once you controlled all of these three institutions, that the people would be left dumbfounded and unable to react to the massive dose of propaganda that would soon follow. The people would be rendered unable to see the truth, much like a navigator would fare when using a defective compass. He's unable to find any true direction, only a manipulated version of the truth. This is all it takes to convince people that up is down and that the sky isn't blue. Mao knew that the people will believe what they want to hear, so Mao set out to convince the people into believing that whatever he wanted is also what they wanted. It's that simple. Whenever you shape public opinion, you can subject the people to any unjust laws that you wish. Once this is achieved, massive bureaucracies that serve towards the upkeep and maintenance of the control of the masses through propaganda can then be implemented. When done correctly, the people will not only tolerate these unjust laws, they'll also vigorously help the state to enforce them. Mao's Little Red Book was used thoroughly as an indoctrination tool, and uncounted numbers of this book were produced during Mao's reign. It was filled with quotes from Mao concerning all aspects of interaction between the people and the state. The people of China were expected to memorize the book as thoroughly as possible and were expected to carry it everywhere they went. Now, this is classic Pavlovian conditioning and a prime example of how propaganda needs to be constantly repeated to the masses in order for it to work. Let's observe what Mao's Little Red Book says about interactions between men and women. Now there's one reason and one reason only I pulled this quote to show to my listeners. And that's just to illustrate once and for all the complete futility of trying to get women to change their ways by pointing out their dysfunctional feminist behavior. Our government, just like Mao's government, has used propaganda to normalize and legitimize single motherhood, and then it set out towards establishing a legal system that encourages single mothers to stay single. Therefore, it makes no sense to try to persuade women to give up their dysfunctional behavior. It will not happen, for the simple fact that welfare and the divorces that females are initiating at record rates provide them with the ability to be financially independent without having to submit to any man's authority. You see, they're getting our money from divorcing us, and when they don't have a man that will take them up and sponsor them, the government takes care of it through welfare, through the welfare state. This is why females don't have any incentive to change, and this is why they won't change, period. So to all of us men, we have to stop complaining about how fucked up women are these days, and we have to just band together and declare a cultural and legislative war on feminist-minded women and the legislative tyrants who support them. And yes, I'm talking about people like Barack Obama and his partner Joe Biden, who's responsible for the Violence Against Women Act, which is one of the most hypocritical, man-hating bills ever passed. What we need is mass demonstrations and legislative change. This is what's required. Massive changes in our liberal, feminist-minded school system will be required as well. And we have to avoid feminist whores in every way possible. Most importantly, we must not have sex with these women, ever, period. We must only marry traditional, family-oriented women. And we have to in no way reward or legitimize any women who would not submit to patriarchy, period. Now I'm going to make things real clear, okay? Because I'm sick and tired of people making videos and just complaining about what women do. Yes, I feel your pain. Yes, I understand. But I'm just going to make things clear. I'm going to say to men that yes, you might have to give up sex altogether if the only women that are available to you are of the feminist mind, sweat, and persuasion. Only by doing this will we as men be able to reestablish authority over the type of women that the feminist mindset breeds, and only in conjunction with massive social, educational, and legislative change. The enemy is the social institutions that foster this kind of mentality. So to men everywhere, let's stop complaining about these loose chicken heads, and for once, for God's sake, let's get this shit done and stop wasting time. Alright? Join me and all others like me in the formation of a masculine pushback against these evils of feminism. The time is now. The time is not yesterday. It is now. There's no excuses. Period. We have to get this done. We have to force women to submit to us. I'm sorry. It may not sound pretty, but that's the truth. That's what has to happen. And if you don't like it, well, not my problem. This is what is required. Are you ready to do what is required? If not, then stop wasting our time and don't ever come on my channel again. I leave you with a quote from Robert Briffault. The female, not the male, determines all the conditions of the animal family. Where the female can derive no benefit from association with the male, no such association takes place. Questions and comments, thoughts and speculations are welcome. Good night and God bless.